Peppa Pig and the Fishing Day Adventure. Peppa and George brought fishing rods to the lake, Daddy and Mummy Pig following, the lake sparkling in the sun. Peppa cast her line into the water. George watched the surface, eagerly waiting. Daddy Pig accidentally dropped his fishing rod into the lake. Peppa and George giggled. Peppa caught a flower floating on the water. George cheered, and the whole family laughed with delight. The family packed up. Peppa and George waved goodbye to the lake, promising to come back next time. Peppa and George couldn't believe their eyes when they saw a piece of bread flying through the air. They decided to chase the flying bread, but it was fast and looped around like a plane. It seemed like this piece of bread wasn't easy to catch, and it took a quick break on a tree branch. Surely this bread knew how to play tag, and Peppa seemed to be its favorite target. After an adventure, Peppa finally caught the flying bread and smiled happily. Finally, Peppa and George realized that sometimes the best adventures are when you can enjoy the fruits of your efforts. Peppa and George were walking near a sparkling crystal clear lake. Peppa set a paper boat out on the water, and George watched it float gently. Daddy Pig brought a small paddleboard, suggesting they could have a boat race. Peppa and George paddled lightly, laughing as their boat glided across the lake. Mummy Pig stood by the lake, taking pictures and reminding them, don't go too far. Finally, the whole family stood by the lake, admiring the sparkling water and enjoying a peaceful moment. Peppa and George were amazed when a giant ball rolled toward them. The ball was too big, but Peppa didn't give up and decided to push it. The rolling ball created funny circles, making Peppa laugh non-stop. George joined in, helping Peppa to control the giant ball together. When the ball hit a puddle, huge splashes sprayed everywhere, making them laugh even more. Finally, they realized that sometimes the greatest fun is just a giant ball and your own laughter. Peppa and George ran outside to play as the rain started. They jumped into puddles, splashing water everywhere. Mummy Pig brought raincoats and reminded them, be careful, don't slip. Daddy Pig appeared with a big umbrella, sheltering Peppa and George from the rain. Peppa found a giant puddle, carefully jumped in, and laughed with joy. Finally, the whole family stood under the umbrella, watching Peppa and George dance in the rain, laughing together. Peppa was surprised to see a strange hat on the grass. Whoa! George ran over and touched it. lights twinkling from the hat.
Whoa!
Peppa put the hat on. Bubbles of light floated across the garden. Magical indeed. George tried the hat too. Bubbles swirling around them, making them laugh out loud. The bubbles rose and settled on the tree branches, sparkling in the sunlight. They took off the hat. Bubbles faded, but the magical joy lingered in the garden. Playground. Today, Peppa and George are going to the playground with their family. Peppa and George love going to the playground with their family. George loves spending time on the slide, going up and down again and again. Peppa and George also love playing on the swings. George is enjoying the swing, while Mummy Pig gently pushes him higher and higher. While George enjoys the swing, Peppa and Daddy Pig head over to buy some ice cream. Peppa Pig and the Mushroom Picking Adventure. Peppa and George took baskets into the forest. Daddy and Mummy Pig followed, everyone excited to explore. Peppa saw brown mushrooms growing on the grass, pointed and cheered. George jumped with joy. Daddy Pig showed Peppa how to pick mushrooms gently. Mummy Pig took photos. George picked a big mushroom, dropping smaller ones. Peppa laughed and helped him pick them up. The family placed mushrooms into their baskets, laughing, the forest fresh and green. The family left the forest with full baskets. Mummy Pig promised to make a delicious mushroom soup. Peppa and George couldn't believe their eyes.
Wow.
A giant truck was parked right in their yard. This truck is not only big but full of strange things inside. Peppa is curious and wants to try them all. George tried to push the giant wheel, but he might need a bit more strength to move it. No worries. Peppa decides to drive the giant truck, but it seems it's not as easy as she thought. Sometimes all it takes is a little push on the gas pedal to start an adventure, even if it's a bit out of control. Finally, the truck stops, and Peppa and George realize one thing. Sometimes the fun starts with the most random things. Peppa and George stood on the grass, seeing a big banner. Funny dance contest. George did a flip in the air, making Peppa laugh happily. Peppa tried dancing to the music, but slipped on a leaf, both of them laughing uncontrollably. Daddy and Mummy Pig stood beside them, laughing and cheering them on. Finally, Peppa and George received their medals, and the whole family hugged and laughed together. Peppa and George were sitting in the yard when they looked up at the sky and saw a cloud shaped like a bear. Peppa pointed at the sky and said, "Look, this cloud looks like a bear sleeping." George mimicked mimicked the bear, lying down and pretending to sleep on the grass, making Peppa laugh loudly. Mummy Pig walked over and saw them, saying, "You both are so cute, just like real bears." Peppa and George stood up and began imitating bears, walking slowly around the yard, laughing happily. Finally, the whole family sat together in the yard, looking at the bear-shaped cloud and enjoying the simple joy of the moment. Peppa Pig and the Forest Walking Adventure. Peppa and George walked along the forest trail, Daddy and Mummy Pig following, with trees green on both sides. Peppa spotted a yellow butterfly flying. George pointed excitedly. Daddy Pig slid lightly on a wet branch. Peppa and George giggled. Mummy Pig picked some wild strawberries and gave them to Peppa and George, both laughing happily. The family stood on a hilltop, looking at the green forest, holding hands and laughing happily. Peppa and George were playing in the garden when they spotted a giant toy car rolling toward them. George quickly climbed into the toy car, took the wheel, and laughed happily as the car started rolling. Peppa tried to chase the car, but it was too fast, making her run after it. Mummy Pig saw them and reminded, "Be careful, don't let the car roll too far." Peppa and George took turns driving the toy car, going over small tree stumps in the garden. Finally, the toy car stopped, and Peppa and George got out, laughing joyfully from their fun adventure. Peppa Family Rainy Day. Peppa is dashing around, giggling with her dinosaur in hand. Despite the rain outside, Peppa and George are happily playing indoors. George is happily playing with his toy airplane. With a little imagination, the living room turns into Princess Peppa's castle, guarded by Sir George the dinosaur. Something's missing. George, come here, Peppa calls out. Oh dear, poor George. That chair is almost bigger than him. All hail King Dinosaur, ruler of the castle. Peppa and George were playing in the park when suddenly some balloons started floating in the air. Both of them decided to chase after the flying balloons, but they kept floating higher and higher. George jumped as high as he could to catch one, but sadly, he still couldn't reach it. Peppa found a chair to climb on, stretching her hands out, but the balloon floated even further away. Finally, one balloon gently floated down near Peppa and George, and they were thrilled to catch it. Peppa and George realized that sometimes the simplest joys bring the happiest moments. Today is sports day at Peppa's school. All the kids are so excited. The The whistle blows. It's time to start. The kids line up neatly under the teacher's guidance. Their faces show excitement and anticipation. What will be the first event? They were both excitedly talking to each other about who ran faster and reached the finish line first. The race begins. The kids run with all their might, their feet flying across the ground. Who will reach the finish line first? One by one, all the others fall behind, leaving only Peppa and Rebecca Rabbit chasing each other at full speed. The cheers from the crowd get louder, and the tension rises. Molly Cat won! Wow, she's so fast! Today is a fun-filled swimming day for Peppa's family. Everyone is excited as they head to the pool for a day of splashing, swimming, and making unforgettable memories together. Everyone steps out from the changing rooms, Peppa and George in their colorful swimsuits. Mummy Pig and Daddy Pig are also ready to relax and enjoy a day by the pool. Everyone is putting on their swimsuits, ready for a fun day at the pool. Daddy begins to blow up the float for his little one. Daddy is blowing up the float for his daughter. Now we can go into the water. Hey! Hey! Oh, so it turns out little brother is afraid of the water. Today, golden sunlight bathes Peppa's garden. A gentle breeze and bird song welcome a truly wonderful morning. Peppa just can't sit still when the bright blue sky calls her outside. Meanwhile, George enjoys building his own little tower. But fun is always better when shared. Before long, the kite is dancing high above, swaying with every gust of wind. Bedroom party! Peppa and George are still fast asleep, but something mysterious has just appeared in their room. Aww! Wow! The moment they wake up, they spot a big box in the corner, and it looks full of secrets. Huh? George taps on the lid to see what's inside, while Peppa listens closely, but all they hear is silence. When the lid opens, colorful paper and balloons spill out, and the idea for a mini party begins. It turns out the real surprise wasn't in the box. It was in the moments they spent together. Wow! It's a beautiful morning at Peppa's house. George Pig really loves to play outside. Mummy, Daddy, and Peppa have already gone out too. Hop in the car. Time to hit the road. George Pig loves going shopping with his family. Peppa and George love going shopping. Hey, hey! First, we need to find the bananas. Peppa Pig and the Rainy Day Adventure. Peppa and George put on raincoats, ready to explore the rainy day with their parents. Peppa jumped into a puddle. George followed. Daddy Pig joined in happily. Mummy Pig held an umbrella, guiding Peppa and George, raindrops sparkling on the leaves. Peppa spotted a frog hopping in a puddle. George cheered. Peppa clapped her hands. The family jumped into bigger puddles, laughing, water splashing everywhere. The family went home, wet but happy. Daddy Pig promised to make delicious hot chocolate. Peppa and George were walking when they discovered a mysterious vegetable garden with tall, colorful plants. George curiously touched a giant carrot, while Peppa picked up a pumpkin almost as big as her head. Wow! Mummy Pig entered the garden, smiling and said, "Look, kids, these vegetables are really special." Peppa and George played hopping through the tall plants, laughing joyfully across the garden. Daddy Pig appeared with a small cart so the whole family could harvest the vegetables together. Finally, the whole family stood in the garden, admiring the colorful pumpkins, carrots, and greens, happily taking a family photo. Peppa and George packed the picnic basket with Mummy Pig, bringing bread, fruit, and drinks. The family walked into the colorful flower garden with bees and butterflies flying around.
Hey!
Peppa picked a red rose. George picked a sunflower, both laughing happily. Daddy Pig lifted Peppa to reach a tall flower. Peppa raised her hand excitedly. George curiously watched a snail crawling on a leaf. The family sat on the picnic blanket, eating bread, drinking water, and enjoying the beautiful garden view. Peppa and George brought the big building block set from the house to the yard, excited to start the game. Mummy Pig spread a large blanket on the grass, making it comfortable for Peppa and George to play with their Lego. Peppa started building a beautiful castle with the large blocks, while George carefully placed the smaller pieces around it. Daddy Pig joined in, trying to build a tall tower with the blocks, making the whole family laugh. Mummy Pig added special blocks to the castle, creating flags and flowers, and the whole family clapped and cheered. The family sat around the Lego castle, laughing happily and taking photos of their wonderful creation. The giant shoe. Peppa and George were stunned when they saw a giant shoe appear in the garden. Peppa immediately turned it into a playground, while George was still wondering, whose shoe could this be? For Peppa, the shoe became the perfect slide. For George, it was more like a treasure chest. Soon, the giant shoe rolled around like a ride, filling the garden with laughter. Peppa and George dashed across the garden, giggling and chasing after the giant shoe as if it were the most magical toy in the world. But the biggest surprise came when Daddy Pig showed up, holding another giant shoe. In the end, the family realized that joy needs no reason, just a pair of oversized shoes and endless imagination.